Hey everybody, it's your boy Protagonist JWA with Gardening with JWA, and today we are talking about my in-ground watering system. So if you've seen the raised bed watering system, you kind of have an idea of how the initial setup happens. Now, I unfortunately have a crap ton of grass that I have to cut. As you can see, there's this four-way manifold. One goes to the watering system, one goes to one goes to raised beds, one goes to the in-ground, and then one goes to the hose bed. So today we're talking about the in-ground one. And what's cool about this is I can flip a switch. So this is currently on, so it's running. So let me go over so you can actually see one. See that little water? And then that beautiful little clover that's gonna get cut when I cut the yard. Poor guy. So essentially, I have a bunch of trees, as you can see, and a lot of grass problems I gotta deal with, unfortunately. So your thoughts and prayers are much appreciated, because it's going to be hot when I deal with them. So I was trying to do a water system that would work with our limit. So those of you not aware, all this green, which blends in with the grass, is effectively 1/2 inch or 5/8 polytube, depending on the vernacular. It's the same thing because it's 5/8 on the outside, 1/2 inch on the inside. Let me go up a little bit. So effectively, you have a limit to what you can do. Look at this random freaking plant that popped up. I think this is like a seed from something. I don't know. It looks weird, but sorry, I'm freaking tangent all over the place, but I'll keep my camera on it because it looks cool. So effectively, you have a limit to how much water you can run through a given system. So in my case, I'm kind of limited to how much, because I think our pressure is like 6 gallons per minute or something like that. But effectively, I built the system based off of 5 gallons per minute, which involves me I took a 5-gallon bucket, ran it through the filter, of course, and the pressure compensated everything, so I could make sure I knew how much I was getting. And I effectively said, okay, well, how long does it take for me to fill this bucket up? And then I did some fun math, which was awesome. And I'm not going to bother repeating it. I literally went to a Sprinkle World. They gave me this sheet that told me how to calculate based on a 1-gallon bucket, how to calculate based on a 5-gallon bucket. So I just went with the flow. And so based on that, I developed a system. So these are 2-gallon per hour drippers. And based on my, 6 gallons, but I'm going to say 5 gallons per minute system or capabilities, whatever the verbiage is, I can only have 150 of these. If I have more than that, this might not work. So I had to do some math and think, okay, well, how many trees do I have in the ground? I have probably 32 in the ground right now, maybe 31. Okay, and then how much can I afford to water these guys, and how much water are they going to get? So I had this whole sheet of paper where I did all this crazy math to kind of figure out what the optimal amount is and how I should do it. And what I came to is I'm going to do a 2-lane system, because you might not be able to tell, but I have my trees in rows and it's hard to see, but I'm going to do this 2-lane system. I just hit my head on the branch, which I don't know if you can see it, but the ants are using like a super highway, which is hilarious. But I'm going to do a 2-lane system. So one on each side of the tree, and on each lane, 2 drip emitters. So if I go down this one, I'm going to have an emitter somewhere right here, and then an emitter right there, and that's this side. And then on this side, I'll have an emitter right there, and then an emitter right there. So every tree is effectively, look at the size of that freaking trunk, dude. Every tree is effectively getting, watch out for the dog poop. Kyle pooped right in my path before I did this. But every tree is effectively getting 2 lanes. So if you look here, these guys are getting this lane. Now any side plants I put in, they're also getting, they're not getting an extra emitter. I'm just planting them next to a current emitter that's working. So this right here is a Turk's cap hibiscus. It doesn't have any flowers on it right now, but it was flowering earlier when it wasn't super duper hot. And that's essentially, that's Kyle peeing, Jesus. That's essentially how this system works. And what's cool too is, I'm putting extra 2 in for my little jackfruit. Look at that. I planted a little jackfruit, and it's putting on all this little growth. So beautiful. Came from Florida. Look at all that. You can't see it. So zoom in. Focus in, focus in. Boom. It's kind of hard to make out, but I put 2 or more emitters in, and then off that I just ran the spaghetti tubing, which is like what, like a quarter inch, so they call it. Put the 2 emitters at the end of it to water this guy, and then just put a bunch of mulch. So it's really cool in the sense that if you have a tree that's young and you're like, hey, you know, for an established tree with like a fat trunk, yeah, this totally works because it's in that watering zone around where its roots are going to be sucking up water. But for a little baby tree, this doesn't, because the roots aren't going to make it all the way down here. You're gonna starve it. It's going to dry out and die because it's Arizona and hot. So you can just run some spaghetti tubing, and you can even put the spaghetti tubing directly on here and then run that to it, and then just put in a stake like I did here, and that'll work too. It's super cool. In fact, I probably should have done that originally instead of using the little pipe part. So you live and you learn. But yeah, that's my system. It works really well. So I do 2.5. This is a little Mexican elderberry. I got a little bug on me. I do 2.5 hours Monday through Saturday, and then I do 5 hours on Sunday. And the reason I do 5 hours on Sunday, excuse me, look at that. I put a Mexican sunflower right here and just put it next to the emitters. Where are they at? Where are the emitters? Oh, right there. Mexican sunflower. So yeah, so 5 hours for Sunday. Now the reason I do 5 hours for Sunday is because that's what it takes to actually flood my yard. And when I mean flood, I notice pooling in the water, in the mulch layer. Like when I step down, there's clearly a lot of moisture. It's saturated, meaning the water's not draining. It's starting to pool at the surface, at the mulch layer. That is effectively when I know, okay, I'm done. So that's about, what does that math out to? What, 2.5, 20 hours a week? Something around there. All the trees love it so far. I mean, it's really hot. So you can see this tree kind of took some yellowing, but its new growth is looking pretty nice, which is good. So I think all in all, this works out pretty well. In fact, like, I think constant watering is like the best way to go about it. This is the sweet almond. So yeah, where is my camera at? There it is. See that? Produce these flower things, and there's like an unflowered one right there that smell really good. Just nice. Hold on, look at all this freaking grass. Trouble. That's all it is. This little jasmine. Look at that. And like once again, I just made sure to plant these guys next to where an emitter would be, and I knew we'd get all the water it'd need. See these freaking cuts? Guarantee it was a carpenter bee. See how it's like perfect circle right there? Guarantee you a carpenter bee came here and said, look at all this bedding material. Gotta love it. All right, well, I know I kind of rambled a bit, but effectively the core tenets of this are, watch the first raised bed video to get an idea of the whole, like initial setup before the manifold. But effectively, before you set up any system, you should know what your system can support. And if you go online, they'll tell you how to do it. By the way, these look really fucking pretty when they're starting. Pardon my language, guys. But yeah, so know what your system can support. Run it. I mean, I happen to be running like almost 500 feet worth of tubing, which is super crazy. And I don't have 144 emitters out here, but I'm damn near close. I'm definitely over 100 2 gallons per hour emitters. So it's super nice. I think it comes out to about 20 gallons a day for each tree, and then on Sundays it gets 40 gallons, I believe is the math. So it's right along what you'd expect. And like I said, the reason I'm spreading it out versus like a deep water is I definitely find, I previously just did the deep water, and just seeing how the trees are responding this summer to the constant watering, and how the ancillary plants like these do way better with consistent moisture versus just once a week. You know what I mean? So I definitely think watering system is the way to go. It took a lot of time. It was obviously really hard to push everything through this freaking nest of a jungle, but it was worth it. So yeah, I hope you guys found this video helpful. Hopefully it inspires you guys to do something yourself, because I can't believe I didn't do this sooner. And you know what? Just knowing what your system could support, I should have just set up a skeleton version and just added as I went and planted along. That would have saved me so much hassle, and I wouldn't have this grass problem I currently do. Side note, this system has suppressed the grass quite a bit. This grass hasn't been cut in about 2 to 3 weeks. If this was last summer, this grass would already be about 2.5 to 3 feet tall. So this system is preventing the rapid growth of the grass, which is awesome. So all in all, very happy I set up the system. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. You guys have a good one. It's your boy Bertice Jwa, signing out.